Welcome to another episode of In the Garage Kit Reviews. In this episode, the Sd.Ah.116 Tank Transporter. Here is the Sd.Ah.116 Tank Transporter. Now, every country pretty much had their own versions of trailers and such that they used to remove disabled tanks from the battlefield, but this is the German version, and this is actually made for specifically hauling Panzer IVs and Panzer IIIs off the battlefield for repair and hopefully to put them back into service. So we'll go over some of the kit features of this design, and we'll bring in some tanks. I brought in some extra models to help with the display of it, including the Panzer IV and a Panzer III, something like that. And also I brought in, just for scale's sake, the SDKFZ-250/3, which is the Rommel's Command half-track. So you see how all these vehicles go on this unit, and of course the FAMO, and that is actually going to pull it, the 28-ton FAMO, which was done on a previous video. I think it was about 2 or 3 videos ago I did the FAMO, so go back and have a review of that, and you'll see how it's going to work with this one. So I just did a mock-up of the FAMO, didn't have exactly all the parts, so ignore the colors, but that's just to give you an idea of the size. So let's take a look. So this is the tank transporter with the FAMO attached. And the FAMO is 27 studs in length, and the trailer is 53 studs in length. And this whole thing is 2 feet long. If you're using this in a display, you're going to find that quite the filler. So let's break this kit down. 3 sections. There's the rear carriage, the flatbed, and the front carriage. So they all come apart. There's a little tool that I'll show you here that you use just to line up the pins just in case they go crooked on you. It's just an easy twist and you're back in business. You can put them together. Okay, so starting with the rear trailer, this is or carriage. Here's a picture of a real fellow steering or piloting this rear carriage, because both front and rear carriages on this turn. So with here, you got a little Technic piece there that you can rotate with. Here, I'll just show you that. So the wheels do move. This is called Ackerman steering, where basically you got 2 axles that turn at the same time. Without getting too technical, one will turn more than the other, of course, and that's to do with the inside and outer turn radius, so it rotates. So that's what would happen, is that the trailer's going, and that you could just rotate it and it'll just follow. So both front and rear rotate. So this kit does come with one minifigure. He's your little pilot back there. And also the windscreen does move up forward and backwards, but of course we just leave it in its position. So let's just pull this apart. Just comes apart real easy. It has a Technic pin on the bottom there, as you can see on the trailer here, and it just fits right in there. And that it just goes in right snugly right underneath the Lego parts right there. And in any case, like I said, the steering, it does rotate, so you can, and this is probably one of the coolest kits that I've built as far as technical specs go. And so removing the driver, and that's just how he's in there, and that you just flip the windscreen forward, pull the steering wheel upward, and then you just pop your guy out. So there he is, and that's what he does. Same thing going back in, push the steering wheel forward, lock him in place, and then the windshield up. So that's pretty much it. That's what he does. So otherwise, this has taken me quite a while. I've gone through multiple attempts to get the steering right, and I finally got it down. I'm just really happy how it did turn out. So anyway, everything lines up. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's take a look at the flat deck platform. So not too much to this. I mean, it is just a flat deck, and we'll show you how that'll all work here. But there, I'll just show you an option here. We'll just pull the same thing with the front carriage, and that it has a mount underneath, and that goes in the same way. There is these 2 pins that's included in the kit where you just lift up, you insert it, so that's how the ramp goes up there. So if you have wheeled vehicles, you can load them up that way. They kind of hung them over the edge, but I don't see there's a lot of space to do that, but it's there as an option anyway. So it does have and there's a pin for each side. It does come with it. And of course there's just the little thing there, tab that sticks out that holds it, that keeps it down in the right place. And of course, a couple of chains, and that's pretty much it. Not much else to that other than that's just the platform. And now, moving along to the front carriage. So, and here is the front carriage. Now this one, of course, has the steering on it. You just pull along with the steering, so you can see how that's going to be quite the thing when you got front and rear steering like that. I mean, you're basically between the two of them, you're rotating one and steering with the other, kind of thing, that you know, they're just going to fall in line with each other. One can be going totally the opposite direction, and that's to go around tight corners and stuff, right? It would follow along and then go around. And they did have some troubles looking at some photographs of these of these transporters that they had. They had some really challenging corners to get around, and that. So if that back didn't turn, there's just no way that you'd ever get a trailer like that through an area. So, but anyway, so let's show you how a vehicle is loaded. So what would happen is the pilot in the rear there they would disengage and they would just push this off. Now it does not have a motor in it at all, and the real trailer would be like this, where it has cables that hook onto the front and rear of the trailer or of the flat deck, and that it's just winched up and held up into a high position there, so it can move around a bit. So this does have some lateral play, which is kind of like the real one as well. But anyway, so this little guy would just move out of the way. They'd push him out of the way. And then here we'll just bring in for our demo is the Panzer III. So when they bring up the tank, you take off the ramps that are up on the front. Yeah, you will probably wonder what those were for. They put those up to the back. And then when the cable comes through, and they would attach that to the tank, and then they would just winch it up. So don't mind me, the surface doesn't really roll very well or whatnot, and they'd just pull it and winch it right up to the tank, and they'd put it right up to the very edge. They'd pull off the ramps, and that, pop those back on in their place, and then they'd bring in the trailer, the rear carriage again, and they just pop that into place. So there you have it. That is it. The tank is now loaded on the trailer. And then they would just, they could back up, and then they could turn and go forward. And at the same time, you could turn the rear one and take this thing around in a big corner kind of thing. So that's the thing about it. You got to straighten out. It's grabbing the cloth a bit, but it's a cloth and those are rubber tires. So that's pretty much it. And here's the Panzer IV. This kit as well had some just updates with the turret and with the fenders, but we'll go on that, like you say, the next video. So I'll just put this one on so you can see it. This is a Panzer IV, right smack on that trailer. So that's what it pretty much looks like, is how you would transport your tanks and such, would be right on that, right on this trailer. So it fits the length, it meets the deal. This is what, this one's got a Stug on it. Here's the real photographs. This one has a Stug on it. This one has a Panzer IV. This one has a Panzer III on it, so that gives you an idea of the realism of the thing. So there it is, rolling off into the repair world. But alas, I digress. Let's bring this back because I just want to show you with the Panzer IV off and that the Panzer III. Here is half-track. Now this is the small command half-track, and as you can see, it's small. I just do not have the bed frame antenna on there. This is actually Rommel's half-track, but I do not have it on there. This is the small half-track, and it just sits right there in there nicely in the pocket there. So they would load up all kinds of vehicles, the bigger half-tracks as well, and this would be their main transporter. So nice thing about it does have a little side-to-side play, so if you're going over, you're taking little hills and stuff like that, it'll actually help keep it level a bit, so if it's not too much of an incline. So here's the completed kit with the stickers, and as you can see, there's the candy striping along the front carriage and the candy striping along the back, and also there is the license plate and then the warning label on the back, and of course the same candy striping on the other side as well. So that is the total trailer. This is the finished kit you're looking at, complete. Thanks for watching.